You are looking live at St. Louis University High School. That is where five-star wide receiver Ryan Wingo is set to make his college decision. The hats have been laid. He has his finalist, and we will take you there live once the action begins. Welcome into the 247 Sports Studios here in Nashville, Tennessee. It is decision day for the fifth-ranked player in the class of 2024, Ryan Wingo. Alongside Cooper Patagna, I am Emily Proud. He is set to make his decision in just minutes. We just showed you live where it's about to go down. Now let's tell you more about the player himself. The St. Louis University product has been a five-star pretty much the entire time that we have had him ranked, and he's the fifth-ranked player in the class at this point. That's up from his previous ranking of 7, again, always there at the top. He is the number 2 wide receiver in this cycle and an absolutely loaded class at that position. He is also the number 2 player in the state of Missouri behind Tiger commit Williams Nwaneri. Now, Mizzou is one of his finalists. The others are Georgia, Texas, Texas A&M, Tennessee, and Miami. And this has been a wild commitment with lots of twists and turns. Steve Wilfong will join us to talk more about it shortly. But Coop, we got to talk about this prospect. It's obviously a really big day for Wingo and a really big day here at 247 Sports. What is it about him that makes him such a highly sought after prospect?
It's a height, weight, speed game. You know, he's 6'2", 205 pounds. And the simple part about this is there's not a lot of people walking around like Ryan Wingo, right? So when you break down the player, it's all about the speed, right? We talked about that height, weight, speed projection, 10.55 in the 100-meter as a junior. And this is a guy who can make plays all over the field, outside, inside. Kind of reminds me a little bit of some guys like A.J. Brown, Traylon Burks at the next level on Sunday, if you're looking for a little bit of a player comparison there. But I think a guy that can get involved early at the next level. We'll talk a little bit about that later. But yeah, like I said, not a lot of guys with that type of physical build that can run the way that he can. That's kind of what makes him different.
Yeah, all these finalists are hoping that he picks their school, but they're also hoping that he can come in as a freshman and make an impact. What do you think that the learning curve is going to be for a guy like Ryan Wingo? How soon can he make an impact for his next squad?
Well, we've seen that with 5 stars already, right? Guys like Nicholas Harbor, who I think have gotten more snaps. Malachi Coleman, the 4-star out of Nebraska in the 2023 cycle. You've seen these guys over the last couple weeks, after not playing the first half of the season, start to get more and more reps. I think you can expect that with Ryan Wingo. It's going to take him a little time to get acclimated to the Saturday level of speed and competition at the next level. But in terms of the player, he's got all the physical clay. But it will take a little bit of time. If he enrolls early, I think that will help. But outside of that, he's going to need a little bit of coaching, a little bit of refinement, which is to be expected with a player of that caliber.
It also depends on where he goes, who his quarterback is, what kind of system he fits into. Cooper, you've been in college offices on days like today where you're anxiously waiting to hear if that prized prospect picks your school. What is it like for some of these finalists right now? What are they feeling?
I've never been, on the other side with a player like Ryan Wingo trying to figure out where he's going. So it's nerve-wracking, right? You try to get the last phone call in. You try to remind him, hey, we've been through a really long process together. Remember the good times? You're kind of like a nagging girlfriend at that point. Like, hey, I'm right here, right? Remember all the good things. So with Ryan Wingo, I think, both teams, Texas, Missouri, everybody else involved, they're making their last pitch. And then hopefully at the end of the day, he's picking up the phone, he's calling you, and a lot of these teams are holding their breath to see what happens here in the next few minutes.
We are all holding our breath here as well. So let's welcome in the man who is tasked with following this crazy recruitment closer. That is, of course, our director of recruiting, Steve Wilfong. Steve, you and I have talked about this recruitment for months. At one point it was Georgia, and then it was Missouri, and then it was Texas, then Missouri again. So where do things stand right now?
Yeah, Ryan Wingo was one of the first prospects to emerge nationally in the 2024 class, and I think he might have taken the most college visits of any prospect in America. This is a young man in a family that was very thorough, made visits from coast to coast, and here as it comes down the stretch, I think it has come down to Missouri and Texas, and there has been some jockeying at the top between these two programs. Texas was the team to beat coming out of summer official visits. He returned to Texas for the win over Wyoming. Still really liked the Longhorns' position at that point. But then he watched Missouri beat Memphis and St. Louis. He was back in Columbia 2 more times since. Saw them play LSU. Saw them this past weekend beat South Carolina. And I think coming out of this last visit, or coming out of those last 2 visits, it looked like Missouri was going to be the program to beat for Ryan Wingo. But here comes Texas charging one more time here down the stretch. Got word this morning, talking to various sources about this recruitment, that Texas is emerging strong late here. But then, as the afternoon hit, got calls at Missouri fighting back here for Ryan Wingo. So this is an exciting one. I'm really excited to see what he's going to choose, because I think that Texas and Missouri have battled all the way to the finish line.
Yeah, it seems like it is down to those two. And Steve, this is nothing new for you. I know your phone is always ringing off the hook, especially on days like today. But what has made maybe this recruitment so challenging to get a solid read on? Why has it been all over the place?
Well, I just think that with these visits that Ryan has taken, he can see himself at a lot of different places. There was a time where Georgia had the momentum in this recruitment. Same goes for Tennessee. But as he got down the stretch, 3 visits to Texas, the Austin program, the campus, being around Coach Sarkisian, his track record of getting playmakers the ball, the pro route tree that offense features week in and week out, excite him about Texas. But then you look at Missouri, what they're doing with Luther Burden, Coach Peeler's track record at the receiver position of developing A.J. Brown and D.K. Metcalf, several visits to the Missouri campus. No head coach works harder on the trail than Elijah Drinkwitz. There's a lot of in-state pull and momentum right now around Missouri. I think that Ryan has gone back and forth on which one of those programs speaks most to him. And so now we'll see which one he got it down to.
And Steve, we know that you've talked to so many different sources, leave no stone unturned, but through these process, you also kind of get to know the family and the kid himself. So what can you tell us about just what kind of person Ryan Wingo is?
Well, this is a family that's been through it. His older brother played at Arkansas, was a running back, and so this is their second time going through the process. They're well versed, but Ryan Wingo, he is a leader. He is a smart kid. And then, as Cooper told you, he is a dynamic player with the ball in his hands, ferocious, 6'2", 205 pounds, can line him up all over on offense. Also dynamic in the return game, and easy to see why he was so coveted. But the intangibles, he's a worker, he's strong, he's smart, and a lot of prospects, he's kind of bonded with them throughout his travels on the road. And so through that, he's a guy that can maybe help the school he chooses land a couple more commitments before this 2024 cycle is over.
Oh yeah, that's something we always track when it comes to these big-time commitments, is what comes next. Steve, thank you so much for all of this great intel. We appreciate it. Looking forward to seeing what happens here. Let's take it back here in studio with Cooper, and we're going to talk a little bit more about what makes him so special. And you and I were kind of chatting beforehand. Eight 5-star wide receivers. This is an incredible class when it comes to the pass catchers. But what is it that makes Wingo stand out in particular?
Yeah, and I don't know how many times I can actually repeat it, right? But it's, a height, weight, speed game, right? So this is really kind of what it comes down to with Ryan Wingo. We talked about that combination of height, 6'2", 205 pounds, probably going to play around 215. And he can run, and he's position versatile. He can do a lot of different things. You add in the special teams element, he's kind of one size fits all.
All right, it is time to hear where Ryan Wingo will play his college ball. It is not time to hear, where he will play his college ball. We'll send you out there live. They're going through a whole ceremony. The principal is talking, coaches are talking. It's very exciting. So let's send it out live now to St. Louis for the official announcement. Here it is.
Which one I talking to? All right. Okay. Which one I talking to?
All of them.
All right. Can they hear me? Yeah. I'm gonna keep it short. Oh shit. Nah, it dropped. Oh. I'm gonna keep it short. For sure, I'd like to thank all my coaches. Wait, hold on. First, thank God for putting me in this position. For sure, thank all my coaches, Coach Cruz, Coach White, Coach Grove. Thank my parents, my brothers for pushing me since I was 5 years old to play football. Like I said, I'm gonna keep it short. So with that being said, I'll be committed to the University of Come here. Texas.
Where we going? Where we going? Where we going?
St. Louis University High School. Ryan, you went through a whirlwind recruitment. What made the Longhorns and Steve Sarkisian's program stand out?
I think just that Sarkisian offense and how he utilize his receivers is just different. You know, they get the ball to their receivers, and you want to go play somewhere where they're getting the receivers the ball, and they got the quarterback, so let's do it.
What is the University of Texas getting in Ryan Wingo when he arrives on campus?
They're getting a hard worker from St. Louis, you know. I got to put on for St. Louis while I'm up there, so, you know, they're getting a hard worker. They're going to come in and try to compete from the start.
Ryan, a lot of people here today thought that you were going to Missouri leading into this week. What changed over the last week or so that led you to the University of Texas?
Like I said, that Sarkisian offense is different. He get his receivers the ball and everything like that. So I think just from that standpoint, you know, you want to go play somewhere where you're getting the ball. So that's the big thing.
Congratulations, Ryan. Emily, back to you guys in Nashville.
Thank you so much, Carl. There you have it. Breaking news, five-star wide receiver Ryan Wingo has committed to Texas. He is the 19th commit for the Longhorns top 20 class. Cooper, how big a win is this for Sark?
It's a huge one. You go into Texas, get a guy like Ryan Wingo, the five-star, and immediately I think about Waddle, Judy, Henry Ruggs, all these guys that Steve Sarkisian developed in Tuscaloosa. And now you got Xavier Worthy, A.D. Mitchell, right? Chatavian Sanders, even though he's a tight end, there's going to be some production that I think Texas will have to replace if these guys end up leaving for the NFL. And you think about a guy like Ryan Wingo, he mentioned the quarterback, right? Whether that's Malik Murphy, whether that's Arch Manning, whether that's Quinn Ewers getting hurt, we don't know, right? But that quarterback situation in Austin, we know it's special. It's probably the best in the country. So Ryan Wingo wants to go to a place where he can play early. I think Xavier Worthy kind of cleared that path for him there. And this is a spot in Austin he can step up, find a place to get on the field, and make an impact really, really early.
A massive win for Steve Sarkisian and the Longhorns. Let's bring in Steve Wilfong to talk a little bit more about how this all went down. Because, Steve, we were chatting about this earlier. It seemed like Georgia was a leader at some point, and then Missouri, and then Texas. Steve, if you're there and you can hear me, how did this all go down? What can you tell us?
Well, I got a text message from Ryan Wingo's dad at about 7:12 in the morning asking me if I was up. There's something that changed in this recruitment. It was no longer going to be Missouri, it was Texas. And I think in the end, this is where Ryan truly wanted to be. He silently committed to the Longhorns during his visit for the Wyoming game. And then the Longhorns in the end were able to hold off a strong run by Missouri, the in-state poll. He took 2 visits to campus, also saw them play on a neutral site. But he fell in love with Texas during his official visit in the summer. Again, gave the silent commitment for Wyoming game, and then had to hold on. I thought he was going to Missouri till this morning when the Wingo camp reached out to me very early and told me there was a change.
Man, what a win for them. Steve, we talked about just how crazy this commitment was to follow. Now that it has reached its finality, I think that there are other schools saying, what happened here? Where do we go from here? So let's speak on the Missouri end of things. Where does Mizzou now turn?
Well, I think they're going to just turn it up another notch here in the Ryan Wingo sweepstakes. They're going, nothing was signed today. So Missouri is not going to go away in the recruitment of Ryan Wingo as they try and continue to pursue the state's best. Jeremiah McClellan's another one, committed to Ohio State right now. He's been to Missouri for the LSU game. They're going to keep pushing for him as well. So I don't expect much to change other than they know for sure that Texas is the one to beat right now, and they're trying to change that.
Oh my goodness. We do have a few months to go until signing day. We know if anything happens, you'll be all over it. Steve, thank you so much for breaking it all down for us. Let's continue to talk about Ryan Wingo, the player here. How does he fit in offensively at Texas? You mentioned the Arch Manning piece of it. Does Quinn Ewers come back? Malik Murphy would like to have a say in that, but how does he fit into the Sarkisian offense?
Pretty effortlessly, right? Okay. Steve Sarkisian, arguably the best play caller in all of college football. I think you just give him another toy in Ryan Wingo. I've talked a lot about the combination of skill sets that Ryan Wingo offers. I think he is one of the best run after catch receivers in the 2024 cycle. You mentioned that we got 8 of those guys stacked inside the top 32. So I think Ryan Wingo, his ability to get on the field, translate, the one thing that always translates significantly from day one is speed, right? And then I think physically as well, at his stature, 6'2", 200 pounds plus, I think he's going to be ready to go. If I'm Texas, the first thing that Steve mentioned, right? You got to get him to the finish line. You got to get that ink to dry on the NLI or whatever. I get everything mixed up. But if you get that done, get him to campus as quickly as possible. Get him acclimated. And I think this is a guy that can have a huge impact as a freshman. Like I said, it could take him a little bit of time, but you can't argue with all the physical tools that he has.
You heard Steve Wilfong say Missouri and all the other schools involved are not going to give up yet. This just says that Texas is the leader in the clubhouse at this point. But we talked about just how deep and strong this wide receiver class is. Where else could the Tigers potentially turn?
Yeah, well, that's a good point there. And I think Steve talked about Jeremiah McClellan, right? I think the first thing you got to do if you're Missouri, especially coming off a loss like this on the recruiting trail, everything's out in front of them. And the reality is it's a big win for Texas today. But he is in St. Louis, right? So the momentum with the Missouri program on the field, if you can continue to have success there, maybe notch a couple more wins. If Missouri and Eli Drinkowitz can find a way to get to 10 wins, you already have Williams Winery, the #1 defensive lineman in the country, in the boat. There's going to be a lot of push behind a guy like Ryan Wingo to stay home, right? And that's the reality of the situation, that it's not done. But they've had Jeremiah McClellan on campus. They're pushing for him as well. Believe it or not, I know it kind of seems like a shock, but they have everything they want out in front of them right now.
Yeah, Missouri has had a lot of momentum on the trail. They still have 5-star in Williams Winery, and so definitely still some opportunities for them. But I like Steve's mindset, and this ain't over yet. But what a big win today for Texas, landing 5-star wide receiver Ryan Wingo. As always, 247 Sports is the place to be for these, what we like to call #CommitHQ. We do this all the time. We also have rankings, analysis, and unrivaled coverage of your favorite team. So be sure to subscribe on YouTube and check us out online at 247sports.com.